This is Lab 1.2, performing simple calculations with Python. The first thing that I need to do is open up the Anaconda launcher. So I will do that by going to my Finder, going to Applications, and finding Anaconda Navigator and double-clicking that. And then I will wait for that to open. Now that the Navigator has opened, I will scroll down until I find Spyder, and I will launch Spyder, and then wait for that to open. Now that Spyder has opened, I'm going to increase the size of my right pane, so I have a much larger area to work in the console. And now let's go ahead and look at the requirements for this lab. The first requirement is to create a variable, average receivables, and assign it a value of 520. So I'll just type in here, average receivables. I'll put a space and an equal sign, another space, and set it equal to 520 and hit enter. And you can see that there was no error. And you can also see that we have this new variable in the Variable Explorer called average receivables. And it's an integer. There's only one integer in here, and it has a value of 520. Perfect. Let's go ahead and look at the second requirement. This requirement is receivables count, and we need to assign it a value of 317. Rather than type it out, I'm just going to highlight it and then copy it by pushing Command-C, then going back over to the console and pushing Command-V, and then I'll set that equal to 317. Now you'll notice in one I put spaces in between the equal sign, the other I didn't. It really doesn't matter. I personally find it easier to read if there are spaces, but I wanted to highlight that the spaces here don't matter. All right, well now you can see that we have this additional variable, receivables count, and it has a value of 317. The third requirement is to perform a calculation that returns to the console the total receivables by multiplying average receivables by receivables count. Okay, so we've got the average receivables and then the number of receivables that we have, or the count of receivables. So to get the total, we just need to take average receivables and then multiply it by receivables count and hit enter. All right, so the total receivables is 164,840. Let's go on to the fourth requirement, which is to create a new variable, double receivables, that is equal to twice the value of the total receivables. All right, well, one thing I could do is I could hit the up arrow, and that prints the computation that I did before. If I hit the up arrow again, it'll go up to the computation that I did 2 times before. I'll hit the down arrow to go back to the most previous one. All right, so I can use this rather than type it all out again. I'll use this and click at the very beginning or hit the home key. And let's see, let me remind myself. We want to create a new variable, double receivables. So double receivables that's equal to the total receivables that we counted, and then double that. So we'll multiply it by 2. All right, and then hit enter. So here's my double receivables variable. It looks like it worked, so perfect. It's 329,680. We will now go to the fifth requirement, which is to create a new variable, myMessage, that creates a message. If we had twice the receivables, then our new receivables would be, in curly braces, the value of our variable, double receivables. So I'll go ahead and go back to Spyder and type out myMessage and set it equal to, and it really doesn't matter if you use double or single quotation marks, but let me just go ahead and copy and paste this here. So I'm just going to copy that, hit Command-C, and go back over here and Command-V to paste it in there. Now if I run it like this, now in the Variable Explorer the message gets cut off here. I could resize the pane by dragging it over like that, but that still doesn't do it. Another thing I could do is just type out the variable that I want to look at in the console, myMessage, and hit enter. And now I can see the full message. Well, this is a good start, but what I really want is this number, double receivables, this 329,680 to be entered in there. So the one thing that I need to change to this computation, and I just hit the up arrow key twice, I need to put an F in front of this first quotation mark. And this creates an F string, And now Python will know that it should replace this double receivables with the value of that variable. So now if I hit enter, you can't really tell that this object has changed. But if I type out my message and hit enter again, now I can see that I've got this message in here, the same message. If we had twice the receivables, then our new receivables would be, and now it enters the number 329,680. And that's exactly what we want. So this is an example of how you can create variables, perform computations with variables, and even create what we call f-strings using characters or text as well as variables. Let's go back to the requirements for this assignment. The last thing that I need to do is to grab a screenshot of the console. And it looks like all of my calculations fit on here, so I can get this with a single screenshot. On a Mac, I push Command-Shift-4, and I will just drag this area right here, let go of it. And then I would find that image file and rename it and submit that for this assignment. And this concludes Lab 1.2.